Carter Elliott of the Sleepers podcast is here to talk about all things Michigan State basketball. We're talking Xavier Booker, Devin Royal, Moneyball, the PK85 bracket. What isn't there to talk about? Let's go.
Our Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The world's greatest people of all time. Yes, I'm talking about you, the viewers, the listeners, and also this gentleman to my right, Carter Elliott of the Sleepers podcast. Really quick before I do all the housekeeping, Carter, how on earth are you doing, man? You doing okay?
I'm doing great. I feel like if I get on here, like my energy just goes up. You kind of you're the spark plug that I need when I'm down sometimes. So I appreciate it. I love getting on here and talking. One of my favorite things, Michigan State sports. It's the best.
I was just going to say, whenever I get Carter Elliott on this show, my energy goes up. The spark plug in my life right here on this beautiful Tuesday or Monday night, if you're one of the first people to watch this. We do upload, the night of recording. One of the fine things that we do here on the Locked On Spartans podcast 3 days a week until next week starts, and then we're 5 days a week throughout football season, throughout basketball season. Oh, yeah, you like that? So if you couldn't see this underwhelming face enough, we're going to ramp that up a little bit more, actually. That's right, Monday through Friday, starting in August. But until then, hey, please rate, review, subscribe to the podcast, all that fun stuff. If you have any questions, one of which we will get to here at the end of this episode, lockdownspartans@gmail.com. Carter, only one way to start this episode off, the latest and greatest news from Michigan State basketball, specifically recruiting. Xavier Booker puts Michigan State in his top 10. Your initial reaction when that dropped, were you just floored when that happened? Were you just shocked?
You know what? It is what it is at this point. Like if we weren't in his top 10, like there would have been like hell to pay. There would have been breakdowns.
A lot of questions. A
lot of questions would have been asked. If we couldn't make the 10, then I don't even want to understand what we go through. But all in all, it's good to make the top 10. You know, at this point, when kids say they have a decision date, and I believe that he wants to make, I mean, not like soon, but fairly soon, you know, they kind of maybe have that like 3 or 4 schools that they want to go to, and they want to get the official visits on the calendar, and then they want to make their decision. Some kids like to do it before their school year so they don't have to worry about it. Other kids like to wait a little bit. It's different for everybody, but you know, I'm not surprised to see us in his top 10. The staff has been all hands on deck for Xavier Booker. I mean, if he is playing a 3-on-3 game in his driveway and it's allowed for coaches to be there, I guarantee you Tom Izzo will be at the end of his driveway in his Coleman camping chair watching him play. So we're going all in. We're giving our best effort to get this guy. So, you know, it's good to be in that top 10. And I predict that we're going to be in it to the very end. So this is just the beginning.
It's another high-profile commitment. If you don't know Xavier Booker, really quick, top 5 recruit in the country. 24/7 Sports has him ranked as the number 3 kid. And, yeah, of course, I'm kidding a little bit. Not really too surprising to see Michigan State in his top 10, but there were, in my opinion, 2 surprises here, and I'd love to pick your brain about it, Carter. And one surprise is that, yes, you know, he did announce on Twitter that, all right, Monday at 6, I'm going to drop my final schools. No one knew if that meant like 3 schools, 5 schools, 10 schools. So that's surprise number 1. And before surprise number 2, well, let's rattle off the other 9 schools. We've got Michigan, Auburn, Ohio State, Gonzaga, Purdue, Notre Dame, Indiana, Cincinnati, and Oregon. Surprise number 2 for me, and it's a delightful surprise, is that I'm not reading Kentucky. I'm not reading Duke. I'm not reading Kansas anywhere. And hey, look, people that follow football recruiting know, if you're not on that final 10 graphic or that final 5 graphic, it is federal law that you can't pick another school that's not on that graphic. I'm kidding. We just saw that in football, but I digress. I think this recruitment is going to be a little different than Peyton Kirkland's over the weekend. But so that's the only things that I took away too from the top 10. Any other schools stick out to you, or did you have a huge sigh of relief that those schools weren't on there?
You know what? It was pretty much the schools I suspected.
Okay,
Booker has mentioned that a lot of the Blue Buds were really late on him getting into this.
gotcha.
That's one thing that I think Izzo and his staff have done a great job with Booker. They've been in from the jump. I mean, he made that huge jump in the rankings of 247, but I mean, he was a kid who was outside the top 100 not too long ago. He's been a very fast riser. Skills always been there, but Izzo and his staff have been there, been on him in day one, and he's not, to me, a NIL kid. So I don't think
Sure.
he's necessarily a kid who's looking just to, get the biggest NIL bag, I truly think, he comes from a military background with his family. So I think that bodes well for Coach Izzo, who can sometimes be, somewhat
Sure.
militant in his leadership style. So, I think we're doing all the right things. So as far as covering our bases in our recruiting of him, I think we're doing all the right things. Still, Indiana is a school that scares me the most.
Yeah.
Obviously him being from Indiana, Mike Woodson's done an unbelievable job on the recruiting trail, and his staff's done an unbelievable job on the recruiting trail, which, I got to slap myself in the face for ever doubting that he would, because I had my doubts that he would. I think a lot of people did.
Same.
So
Yeah. Same.
kudos to him for doing that. None of the other schools, though, really scare me on that list. I think Indiana is the one that scares me the most.
Yeah, I don't know. Am I getting like DePaul with Romeo Weems vibes with Cincinnati being on that graphic? Because like one of these schools, not really like the other as far as being a Power 5 big school, but Cincinnati was fascinating, and also like I do look down to Auburn being like, all right, well they just killed it with Jabari Smith, obviously top 3 pick in the NBA. Oregon, they're always a wild card, but like you said, I just don't know if NIL is going to be a thing that they look forward to, but is it just an added bonus? Listen, if you've listened to the show or watched the show before, any of you out there, you might know that I get freaked out at the smallest things. So here to have Carter as a calming voice on here, hopefully brings solace to a lot of people here. Glad it's not just me talking about this because, we need that calmness in our lives. I have a fill-in-the-blank question for you, Carter. Are you ready? You're being put on the hot seat right now.
Oh, I love a good fill-in-the-blank. Let's do it.
If Xavier Booker commits to Michigan State, the basketball playing Spartans, this means blank. This means blank. Very open-ended. You can take this any way you choose. A very broad question, I must say. So sorry about that.
That is a very broad question. I think if Xavier Booker commits, then we will. We'll secure 3 5-stars in our 23 recruiting class.
Oh, yeah. Now we're talking. Do you know what? Let's follow right into that conversation because I wanted to bring up Devin Royal here in a hot second. And is that one of the 3 that you're talking about? Because I'm sure you're going to talk about how he's right now a 4-star, but could be moved up. Is that here? Did I spoil it for you? Did I take the words?
No. Not
I feel bad. Now I feel
bad. No, not at all. A lot of things need to go into place, but I think that Devin Royal has been playing extremely well on the EYBL circuit. He was, a couple of my friends that are coaches that I talked to down at the Peach Jam were just so impressed with his game. And it wasn't necessarily, I talked to Davis earlier from Rivals Michigan Insider, and he mentioned a game where Devin Royal didn't even do anything. He was 2 for 11 from the field, had 2.7 rebounds. But those are the type of things that, that he does. He fills other things. He had 7 rebounds in that game, played extremely hard on the defensive end. And then he bounced back after that with a monster game for 29 and 13. And Tom Izzo was front row to see it all. So I think that's a guy that, I think they have 3 more cycles of rankings coming out in different recruiting sites. I think he's a guy that could easily jump up to that 5-star territory. I especially think that Jeremy Fears can get up into that category. He's had one of the best summers of anybody on the circuit. And with Team USA, my excitement for Jeremy Fears has gone through the absolute roof this summer. And it's approaching dangerous levels, but I don't care. I'm going to scream my love for that man. He is everything that Tom Izzo wants in a point guard. I actually had one of my coach friends tell me that as far as point guards and coaches and matching styles and being on the same page, that Jeremy Fears could be like the closest, like the 100% in touch with Izzo, doing what Izzo wants on the floor. And it's going to make for beautiful basketball. And any wing or big will want to play with Jeremy Fears.
And Jeremy Fears, of course, if you guys don't follow basketball recruiting all too close, already committed to Michigan State. And then, but he's what I love about Fears. Okay, there's like 58 things I love about him. But first and foremost, got that dog in him. That is the number one analytic that I like to use when I look at recruits. His game is sensational, but also too, let's talk off the court. Like, he's a pretty vocal recruiter of Devin Royal,
Agent Fears is in play
amazing
this song, and I love it. I love Agent
amazing.
Fears.
It is dynamite. And also too, I want to go back to the conversation you had with Davis of Rivals. And he was on your podcast, the Sleepers podcast. Great episode. Go watch Carter Elliott. Go watch Greg. Great show you guys do. The interview with Davis, though, I almost wish I didn't listen to it because, wow, my hopes are very high right now because he all but said like he feels very good with Michigan State's chances with Devin Royal, and a guy that plugged in, when you hear him say stuff like that, gets me alarmingly excited. So excited where like I start to wonder if I'm going to be physically and mentally okay if this doesn't happen. So it's
I got hit with that literally live reaction in that we recorded that this morning about 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And he hit me with that, and I said, wait a minute, what'd you just say? Can you repeat that? And I was like, I love it. But yeah, that's honestly that's the chatter. It's not just him. I've been asking around, and it's okay. I don't want to say it's stamped and done, but like we're in the lead. It's all but we got to get there. I'm not going to count my ass when we get there, but we are almost there. We are in the lead.
Oh, my goodness gracious. All right. I'm going to cool us off for a hot second. I'm going to take your wonderful face off this screen if you're watching on YouTube. And hey, if you're listening to the podcast, well, either way you slice it, it'll just be me talking about sweet Built Bars. That's right, Built Bar. It is the best protein bar of all time. Go with the classic Built Bar. Absolutely, positively slaps. Tastes better than a candy bar. Or check out their Built Puffs. They dropped a new flavor very recently. Cookie dough chunk puffs. Wolfed one down before a men's league basketball game today. It was great. 160 calories, 15 grams of protein. It let me commit 5 of the hardest fouls men's league has ever seen, and I did not die of a heart attack or my legs were with me the entire game. It was great. Built Bar had it hooked up the entire game. So thank you, Built Bar. And also we're going to be saying thank you to Built Bar too, because they are protecting our wallets. That's right. Low in calories, high in protein, and high in savings, because when you go to built.com, you're going to smash in promo code LOCKED15 to get the best tasting protein bars out there. That's built.com, promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15, built.com for 15% off your order of Built Bars. And as we welcome Carter Elliott on of the Sleepers podcast, hey, just want to thank you for making Locked On Spartans your first listen every single day here in the Locked On Podcast Network. Carter, you do due diligence. You are what they call a working man's man. You had boots on the ground at Moneyball, did you not? Am I saying true reports right now? That is what I'm talking about. You give the people what they want.
Oh yeah, I did. I'm sorry. I was writing down that code, so I eat Built
Bars.
Yeah, so I was writing down my
Lock
15 code. I will be punching that in. But yeah, I did go to Moneyball. This was my first time back there.
Okay.
In a while. So I think the last 2 or 3 years they didn't have it. And shout out to Desmond Ferguson, by the way, over at Moneyball Sportswear for putting this on. Like it's always been a crazy event, a fun event. I still think about the times where I went to Aim High. For all the people who've been to Moneyball before, it's this old like gym in Lansing. I don't even think it's even open anymore. And you literally could free on a Tuesday and Thursday night go watch NBA pros. Like Amazing. It was unbelievable. Like you go watch. Draymond would come back, Denzel Valentine, Cassius Winston, a couple of Michigan players would come. I mean, it was unbelievable basketball for free. It was great. So I had to make the trip back. This is the first year back, and I got a chance to see some of the guys, and and all in all, it was a good experience. I got to see the guys for the first time. You can't take away too much from Moneyball, but there are some things you can take away.
Yeah, and so were you able to like check out the freshmen, or I guess like when I think Moneyball, I always think like like you said, not a ton of takeaways, but if there is, hey, it's seeing the incoming freshmen or transfers when there are some, obviously not this year, but hey, it's not just the highlight tapes where you only see the good plays. You get to see kind of somewhat, so to speak, a watered down full package. But anyone wow you like a Carson Cooper, a Jackson Kohler, Trayvon Holloman? Is he going to have his number up in the rafters, or what were you feeling from the young guns there that you saw?
Okay, so after I just said I don't like to take any takeaways from Moneyball, I'm about to give you some real takeaways here.
That's right. We're going to squeeze them out of you. Let's go.
I think we have something special in Jaden Akins. We have an NBA player in Jaden Akins. He's the one. He needs to play 25 plus. He is him. Get the X-ray machine out, scan him. Multiple dogs inside of him. He is that guy. Man, he was special. Things off the dribble. And, I saw him play back when he was at Farmington. That's before he went to prep school and did the Ipsy thing, the Sunrise. And he was a guy who was dynamic and always had the ball in his hands. Now, he didn't really get to do that last year. Obviously, he was a guy who was asked to give a little spark plug. And he only got the chance to touch the ball at the end of the shot clock, kind of panicking. We didn't run any sets for him because we were running all sets for the newest Lakers rookie whose name I will not mention on this podcast. But Jaden Akins can be special with that basketball, scoring it. I saw some things as well as vision out of the pick and roll as well that he's going to be special, and he needs to be on the floor this year. Now, the situation that Izzo is going to have to deal with is that, you have Tyson Walker, you have AJ Hoggard, you have Jaden Akins. Whatever you do, whatever combination you want to make, Jaden Akins has to play a lot. And he has to have the ball in his hands. He's going to be special.
That did not help my overexcitement. We just talked overexcitement last segment about recruiting, how, knock on wood, how things seem to be going well for Michigan State on the recruiting trail, but that's it too. And I joke about this too, whenever we talk Jaden Akins, never in the history of mankind has a guy who's coming off of a season where he averaged 6 minutes a game, 2.8 points per game, has gotten so much hype going into the offseason. But I am offender number one. This does go back to one take that I had that I thought sounded a little crazy at the time, but I maybe had a few pops that night before recording. Who's to say? Statute of limitations are still up. But I did say that this is when Imani Bates was still committed to Michigan State, that I like the Akins commitment a lot more than I like the Imani Bates commitment. And listen, I have a lot of bad takes out there, so I will celebrate the good ones. So far, we're looking good on that stock. So, yeah, man, it's, just because any clip I see of Moneyball Jaden Akins, it's
oh man,
that's
special. The step back three, the athleticism, absolutely freakish. He had a windmill when I went there when he was at the rim.
It's crazy, right?
It's special. I think Jaden Akins was the star for me of Moneyball. I left impressed, actually. I want to say with Pierre Brooks as well. I think that Pierre Brooks has some. He was a high level scorer in high school. Now, granted, he was playing for his father. When he entered the gym, he was in his range and he was able to shoot any shot he wants. But when I look at this Michigan State team, even looking back to last year, there wasn't a guy that we necessarily went to get his own shot. Mm-hmm. I think that Pierre Brooks can be a guy who can get his own shot. I think he has the ability to, create space with his step backs. I think he has the ability to be a mismatch, especially if he's put in the right position. If he's able to maybe take a guy who is too small to check him, or maybe take a bigger guy away from the basket. I think that, down the road, I see Pierre Brooks as maybe a small ball 4 creating mismatches, but he's a lot farther along than I thought he would be. He showed some things offensively that I loved. Jackson Kohler was amazing. 42 and 20 probably.
That works.
That works. Now I do have to say the guy he was playing against was about 6'4". Okay, so but that's okay. That's details.
We'll edit that part out. We'll edit that part out of the show.
42 and 20. There's going to be a lot of guys who are going to struggle to check him offensively. He's got an extensive bag. He's got all the moves in the post. He can keep people off balance. He's got a little, also not necessarily a crazy athlete, but at the same time, you got to respect him. If he pulls a big man away from the hoop, he'll be able to make a move, get past him, use up and unders, stuff like that. But he's a guy who came in there. He was a guy to me who took the most workman approach to Moneyball. Okay. He showed up. He didn't, he's locked in, went out there, warmed up, did everything. Everybody else was kind of Moneyball, put on a show. No, Jackson Kohler was out there just ready to give it his all, did his work, did his 42 and 20, and, went home. That's all
Call it a day.
Called it, clocked out.
Just something light, just 42-20. It is what it is. No, that's obviously awesome to see from him. And I can't imagine that, we can see anything else out of Trayvon Holloman and Moneyball that we haven't already seen or heard about, like on the AAU circuit or his high school game. So is that pretty much what you got to? You weren't really surprised at anything that Trayvon Holloman was doing or nothing else that took you off guard?
No, I wasn't really surprised at what Trayvon Holloman. I was actually able to talk with DK, David Klein from Spartan Hoops, because the game that I went to, Trey Holloman actually wasn't able to do much. So that was my first time seeing him in person. But I was able to talk to DK, who went the week after me, and Trayvon Holloman had a great offensive game, showed some things as far as floater. To me, he's not a Moneyball player. He's a guy. The player I always like to compare him to. I think when he ends up leaving Michigan State, he's going to give you like Travis Walton type vibes.
Sure,
he's going to be that type of player. So there's nothing really that I wanted to see from him in Moneyball. I just know that if he gets thrown out there next year for in 5-minute spurts, or even if it's only for 2 minutes or 3 minutes the whole game, I can promise you that 3 minutes is going to be hard as hell, and he's going to be in the other point guard's jersey for that whole 3 minutes that he's out there. And that's all you can really ask for. I don't really expect anything else from him this season.
Yeah. And when you think Moneyball, you're not necessarily thinking I can't wait to see some great perimeter defense. This is going to be great.
There's no perimeter.
Can't wait to see a guy facilitate the offense during a very organized game. You're not getting a lot of that, and that's pretty much Trayvon Holloman right there. So we got an email that I want to pick your brain about. And this can be based on what you saw in Moneyball. It can also just be based on vibes. But this is from Caleb, who wrote in lockdownspartans@gmail.com. He writes in, who for you is going to be the surprise/dude who exceeds expectations for the 2022-23 basketball season? He said Brooks, is it Akins, Walker, etc. So I'll let you dance first. Is there a guy you think that is going to surprise you for next season, Mr. Carter Elliott of the Sleepers Podcast?
You know what? Surprise is a word I got to think, because you know what? I don't expect Jay Nake. I don't think Jay Nake is going to be a surprise. I think he's going to be a star. So you know what? Right. I might go with Pierre Brooks. I think Pierre Brooks is going to surprise some people next year. I truly think that he has an offensive game that he can give us something, and he can create his own shot, and he can get to the basket, and he's a great shooter. So, I left, like I said just previously, I left impressed with what I saw from Pierre Brooks. And that's a guy who I think can find himself some minutes.
Love that. And we had some iteration of this question. I think it was maybe a month or two ago. And I also said Pierre Brooks as well, but also not just because of his, talent. He got to make shots. And also, listen, obviously he didn't play a lot last year, maybe a few minutes here and then wait 2 weeks, few minutes here. He always seemed to give himself the green light. And I kind of respect that from him. He was never scared of the moment, no matter how big or small or how long or how short it was. He seemed like he was already to game and everything, but also too, you might just have to have him, because there's 9-10 scholarship players that you can play this year, and just by numbers, he might be a guy that's going to see a big uptick in his minutes. But just like you're saying, Jaden Akins, obviously we expect the world out of him, but I think a lot of people do. So I don't know if I could use exceeds expectations from that. Malik Hall, it'd be nice to see him play more consistent. I feel like we've been saying this about Malik Hall his whole career, just to have those games, those 2-3 game stretches where he doesn't just go on study abroad and then just says all right, well, here's 5 combined points for me over the next 3 games and 4 rebounds that. So if he can get more consistent, it's weird to say that about such an old guy, but maybe he exceeds some expectations. But yeah, I think Pierre Brooks is probably the leader in the clubhouse. So yeah, unless, I don't know, they take the red shirt off Carson Cooper and he gives you 4 good minutes a game. And
now that you mention it, I'm not saying I left impressed by Carson Cooper, but I see the vision with Carson Cooper.
Okay.
There's something there. He's a guy who is long, super athletic. He's not athletic for a big guy. He's not athletic for, people say sneaky athletic for white guys. No, he's real life athletic.
Gotcha.
There is something there. There's a player there. And I did leave kind of impressed with, I see the vision. I see the long-term vision with him. If we get in foul trouble this year, we might get some Carson Cooper minutes, unfortunately.
I think you have to.
And you know what? I don't know what it's going to look like this year, but I can see let's say 4 years down the road, at the end of his time at Michigan State, he'll be a player that's going to contribute to this team.
Hey now. And so also too, really quick, just want to shoehorn this in. I had no good segue between that conversation and this one, but the news also broke today too that the PK85 tournament, of course, going on over Thanksgiving, it's got Michigan State involved, and they came out with their bracket, and Michigan State's first round game at 10 p.m. Eastern. I love those late night games. Spartans After Dark will be against Alabama. That's right. Our prodigal son, Nate Oates, who, if you hear some people talk about Nate Oates, you'd have thought he grew up in Michigan and lived here for 45 years of his entire life. But he taught high school for a few years in Romulus. So, but yes, the prodigal son, Nate Oates, will be taking on Tom Izzo, Rolling Tide versus the Spartans. And so, yeah, that's who we got. Of course, Michigan State's also playing Gonzaga on the aircraft carrier. We got Villanova in the Gavitt games, Notre Dame in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and Kentucky in the Champions Classic. Carter, is there any game non-conference so far announced that you're looking forward to the most so far? Hot seat time again.
Yeah, that is. You know what? I'm gonna say the Gonzaga game. I'm gonna go with the Gonzaga game. I think I'm looking forward to that one the most. Drew Timme is one of the best post players in the country. One of the best players in the country. We're not selling ourselves short this year with who we're playing. Which you know what? I always am advocating for teams playing somebody. Like,
sure,
NC State, I don't know what you're doing this year. NC State's playing my men's league team in late November.
Wow, that high, huh?
Yeah.
I thought you were too good for them, honestly. Yeah.
So, it's going to be – I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to test ourselves. It's going to be fun to throw ourselves out there against the best. And this is the way I see it. Say what you want about who we have on the team, what we did in recruiting. At the end of the day, this is the team that Coach Izzo put together. And, this is the team that we love and support. So you can say what you want, but at the end of the day, now it's time to line them up. And I want to line up against the best, and I want to play the best. And I'm sure the guys on this team want to play the best as well, because they probably hear this chatter. I'm sure it gets back to them.
Sure.
So they want to show themselves that they're the best by playing against the best. It's going to be a good game. I'm not on the side of Nate Oates' advocate as far as I want him to be the next coach of Michigan State. I'm on the opposite spectrum of that. Gotcha. It's going to be a fun game to see, though. They're high tempo. Nate Oates is all about the good guard play, playing fast, shooting threes, and losing to Notre Dame in the tournament. So besides that,
you know what?
It's fun though. It's fun basketball.
No, right on. And I got to go with Gonzaga for you for the game I'm looking forward to the most so far next season. Kentucky's going to be a great opponent, a great test. But honestly, with Sheboy back, can I say I'm looking forward to that game with a straight face? Not entirely. That game kind of scares me, actually. Drew Timme, great player, but I think he's a little, more containable than a Oscar Sheboy. So you get a great Gonzaga team. You also get the pageantry of the aircraft carrier. Hopefully some more fire picks can come out this year. So I think it's got to be that Gonzaga game. Now, I do laugh because going back to that UNC game, 10, 11 years ago, how fun was that, though, right? Obama's there, the camo jerseys, the pictures are great, but, wow, the basketball itself really left a lot to be desired. It looked like 10 me's out there playing basketball. I'm sure the wind had something to do with it. Shooting directly into the stadium lighting on the top of the aircraft carrier had something to do with it. Maybe there was some mist in the air. So I hope the quality can just be a little better and we can get a true read on who this Michigan State team is going to be in that first game. But stay tuned, I guess. But
and we're going to find out a lot about ourselves. That's for certain. I would say comparing it to last year's team, the non-conference wasn't something that was just an absolute buzzsaw. And then the first half of Big Ten play wasn't actually a buzzsaw either. So, we're getting right into it. It's kind of scary that we might be throwing my young son, Jackson Kohler and Maddie Sissoko into an absolute death trap to start off the year. But hey, there's no better teacher than experience, I guess. So best of luck, gentlemen. Let's make it happen.
To bring it full circle, we talked earlier about, Tom Izzo, kind of a military type guy. For Monty Sissoko, Jackson Kohler, he is breaking them down early in the season to build them up the rest of the way. They will be a pile of ash potentially after the first week. If they're listening, hey, go prove me wrong. That's right. This is some more banter for the locker room bulletin board, if bulletin boards still exist in Breslin Center. But regardless, I'm excited. With all that said, with how scared I am of some of these games, like I am excited. Like I am happy that they do load up these schedules. I am fired up for the PK85 tournament because there are some other good teams too. I think they'd play the winner of, I should know this, UConn, Oregon. I would look it up, but my Wi-Fi is crapped out over here. But regardless,
I think
you're going to get
that sounds right.
It's close enough, right? I mean, I can't be too far off with who we'd face. So regardless, you're going to get three good opponents when you're playing that PK85 tournament over Thanksgiving weekend. And so it's college football. It's the World Cup. Like I'm going to lose so much money gambling and also so much hours of sleep watching Spartans. It's going to be great. I cannot wait.
It's going to be great.
Cannot wait to make more donations to betonline.net. That's right. Your number one sports book. So Carter, cannot thank you enough, man, for your time, your knowledge, your insight as you were boots on the ground at Moneyball. You were in the weeds with the coaches on the circuit in college. You're the man. Really cannot say enough thanks for you. And I think the listeners and viewers enjoyed this as well. So really appreciate it. Friend of the program, Carter Elliott. That's right. Let's go.
Damn, Skippy. Hey, and can I say one last thing?
Please say many more things if you want to.
This goes to the Michigan State basketball fans. We had a tough summer, okay? We did.
Let's talk about it.
We had a rough summer. We were going at each other's heads. It happens.
Yep.
That is what it is. Recruiting, it can sometimes tear each other apart. But at the end of the day, we're rocking with the green and white. And people are going to have to check us, okay? That's what I'm saying. Like, people are going to have to check Malik Hall. Senior year Malik Hall is going to be a problem. Jaden Akins is going to be a problem. Jackson Kohler is going to be one of the best freshman scoring bigs in the country. They still got to come to the Breslin. They still got to play us. They still got to check the rock. I can't wait.
What more needs to be said? Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. It is impossible to not after hearing that. Carter Elliott just dropping it down right here. You guys are the best. See y'all Thursday for another episode of Locked On Spartans. But hey, until then, stay beautiful. Love every single one of you. Go green. Let's go. Let's go.